Tonight on Joy News Prime, as police in Accra investigate the death of a 34-year-old gym instructor at TANTRA Hills in the Thursday dawn attack, some neighbors are not ruling out the possibility his killing may have something to do with his amorous relationships.
I quite remember the agent in the castle of a two woman and of Fred guided PSO. Woman will be here or Shakawa. Into Jali Chido, so not Africa, I'm saying Chabiana. They see.
We'll bring you details on here from the police. Also, health authorities in the Ashanti region worried about the prevalence of COVID-19 in schools there.
And also in secondary schools in the region. And it's a cause for worry. So far, we've had outbreak in 4 secondary schools.
Meanwhile, scientists say genome sequencing done on persons infected with COVID-19 in Ghana show that those with blood group O tend not to show symptoms.
There seems to be some association of symptomatic cases with blood group A and a very strong positive correlation of asymptomatic cases with blood group O.
But does that mean that persons with that blood group are free or spared from the worst of the virus? We'll be speaking to Dr. Peter Kwashi. Also here on Joy News Prime, some Ghanaians Joy News have been speaking to seem to be in absolute support of the draft bill that seeks to criminalize LGBTQ+ activities.
The foreigners want to go by that. That's fine with them, but Africa, I think it will be very bad for somebody to engage in such a attack. Yeah.
With the new bill that will be being passed, I think it's in the right direction.
The sponsors of the bill, however, believe homosexuals in Ghana should be excited that the bill at least criminalizes assault of persons suspected to be gay.
The bill that imposes even jail time on persons who met out extrajudicial treatment to alleged homosexuals.
But there's pushback from advocates against it. We'll hear from them. In business, shortage of maize in parts of the country fuels unhealthy competition and price gauging. There's more in business as we assess the negative toll on businesses along the food chain in Ghana.
They say a Bruno Bond, their cost of they say a crowd by just why they just 4.5.
My name is Ernest Mini. Joy News Prime comes to you live from our studios here at Fanofa Studios at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air. We are also on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Many thanks for joining us wherever you are. Now in our first story, police in the Greater Accra region are investigating the death of a 34-year-old man at TANTRA Hill Thursday dawn. Key to the investigation are 3 suspects who stormed the apartment complex where the gym instructor, Stephen AKUAMOAH, lived and shot him in his apartment at about 1 a.m. Now, a woman who was with him at the time was, however, spared, whilst the other tenants in the house were attacked and robbed of their belongings. We'll hear from the police shortly. But first, my colleague Manuel Cranton visited the house and now reports.
When you can hire no ba, Abefaka, or Tika Mukra, you calm, or no beer, or Pekasa.
We know him. He picks his car here. He's a very calm guy. He doesn't even answer calls in the car. I know he's a gym instructor. I never expected this to happen to him.
That's a taxi driver who usually chauffeurs the late Stephen AKUAMOAH to and from work. Describing his relationship with the deceased, was widely known as Don Little. Stephen, 34 years, was a fitness coach who worked and lived at TANTRA Hills in Accra. He was shot to death at home Thursday dawn by 3 armed men for reasons still yet to be known. I have come to his house to find out what happened. As I walked into the house, there was hardly any sign of human presence.
And so now I see 2 sides of the house, 2 entrances. This one is open. I think I can knock from here, so I'm going to try and knock from here. And
a lady came out of the room, but she will only speak to me on condition of anonymity.
I said, "What tutu at the end?" Ana asa odi bibia hyem na odi ne to no ade shem say no ka shem say no why you see be a TV so and no face there made hu too no me hu be da ba me sure say because
I was watching from the bathroom. I saw him dismantle the gun and reload it. I've never seen anything like this before. It was a small gun. He stopped the guy and asked how much money he had and then marched him to the room.
Into carry na marching in the course rono. Into my who she be by my who guidance because we are now mujina hasi. Into me jina hono my who.
Another tenant, AKUAMOAH, gives more details.
Inti later on, and me say be guy no me opposite they be any time AC. But all this what they say, I'm not be fear. Mushu to guide you no. Na ye need say I'm robbery. Inti most of the 1 or 2 guys PA ever share what was really actually happening. It's almost see and I'm this share. It's almost sure I'm not going to say like they match them into their rooms. I remove phones, laptop, every TV crowd say no. But sometimes or Jimmy Structor. And I also know Jumano, sometimes or qua or Bantam, sometimes no new woman been a war. Me to me I was to say he
was in there with a lady.
Sometimes or Baha.
We all know that she has been coming here.
Once in a while.
She will normally park her car outside. So when she's here, we know
because of the bar. So
he's been telling us that they are friends. The agents have even been here to caution him against continuing seeing his relationship.
I quite remember the agent in the castle of a 2 woman and of Fred Guide PSO woman or you'll be here or Shekawa. Into Jalichi or so, not Africa, I'm saying Chabiana. They see, into the agent require friend because they need.
He will later confirm that almost all the other tenants had fled the house in fear of a possible return of the gunmen. He wants police to increase patrols in the area. His fears are confirmed by a shopkeeper just a block away. Stephen used to buy from her, even the night before he was shot.
I was very shocked. Because I've not experienced someone close to me being shot dead. This is my first time, so I've been in shock since I heard the news. Yes, I'm very scared because I have a shop here and I live here, and you wouldn't know the next targets. It could be us or other neighbors, so we all are scared here. Everyone is scared. The security should be strong around here to avoid such incidents because it's very scary.
For now, the body of the deceased has been deposited at the police morgue for autopsy and preservation, while police mount a manhunt for the suspects. For Joy News, Manuel Cranting.
Let's go to Zoom now. My colleague Manuel Cranting joins me with some additional information he's picked up. Manuel, so there's the mention of a lady who was in the apartment of the deceased who was spared. But what have you gathered about this person and why was she spared? Do you know?
Well, Ernest, we do not know exactly why she was spared. Indeed, my sources within the police tell me that they are actually still grappling with finding an answer to that question. What we do know, however, is that this lady had admitted to the police that she was in a relationship with the deceased. And she says that that relationship has been ongoing for about 5 years now. We also know that she says she is divorced. And you heard in the report, one of the tenants in the house tell me that an agent who brought the now deceased gentleman had come there to caution him to stay away from engaging this particular lady. Well, she tells the police, according to my sources, that she's divorced with a husband with whom she has 2 kids. And so, as for now, though, even though there are some links that are being created, we haven't seen any such yet, at least from official sources that we have been cultivating, Ernest.
And so the suspicion is that, and from what you've been hearing from the neighbors, if this is indeed something that was done from anybody associated with the woman who was spared, it must have been because she allegedly is married to this man, and for that matter and we understand they have kids together, and was spared because of the obvious devastating impact.
You're right to make that, extension, Ernest. So that is essentially the extrapolation that the tenants, and in fact, a few of the people that live around the house have been making, Ernest.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague Emmanuel Cranton, who has been following the story of the murder of the 34-year-old gym instructor at Tantra Hills. Let's go on to the line now and speak to DSP Efiatenge. She speaks for the Accra Region Police. Thank you, madam, for your time here on Joy News Prime. What are the facts you have learned as far as this case is concerned?
All right, thank you very much. The incident actually came to the attention of the police. That was yesterday, early hours, around 1 a.m. And there was a distress call that was calling for the police to respond to an incident that had already occurred. And so swiftly, the police within the jurisdiction moved in. And on our arrival, we had to come to terms with what has happened. And we saw a gentleman who had been shot dead, and also the immediate person the police could lay hands on was a lady.
Okay.
And so we had to, first of all, secure the scene and ensure that the next day we get our crime scene experts from the Criminal Investigations Department to do what we have been taught to do, that is our general reconstruction of the scene, and also pick our evidence for further analysis. And so we had to do that. Then again, the police also had to take the lady who was at the scene for further interview. And we have gathered a lot of information from all angles. And for now, I would say that the incident that happened yesterday is still under investigation. This morning, we had to begin with a coroner's form, where we look forward to do an autopsy on the body, and also do further analysis together with whatever the police has picked up at the scene for further direction. What we are very worried about is disturbing accounts, different accounts of people assuming that the deceased was shot because of a relationship, whatever. You know, it is very disturbing when we begin to get accounts such as this.
Yeah.
This is an incident that has happened. The moment we begin to go the angle we are going, then it means that we have already done our investigations. We know what happened, and it does not help the police unravel the truth. And so for now, we would ask members of the public if they have any information. We are doing some interviews, and all. We are taking interviews, taking other accounts of from witnesses and what have you. If you have any information, why not channel it through the right sources? I know the Malsavin police has done a lot.
Okay.
And now we'll have the regional and also the national components also coming to also add more, and not expect that we go and say all sort of things that actually may not even be the case. And so for now, we would ask and plead with members of the public to exercise restraint in the area of giving a lot of accounts of what it is, what people are presuming or what people are assuming to be the case and what not.
Indeed, what you're cautioning against is speculation, but I'll just, because of time, DSP Efiatenge, because of time, what is the state of the woman who was allegedly spared by the robbers in this incident? Have you spoken to her? Have you taken a statement? And what is her current status?
Yes, actually, yesterday when the police picked her, she was in a very traumatized stage. So we had to stable her and also see what best of information we can get from her.
Okay.
And so she has been very cooperative. She has been assisting the police. And for now, I can say she's fine. But it is true that initially, when the police took her out of the scene, she was a bit traumatized. And anybody who has gone through such a scene would definitely be in that, let me say, position or condition.
Thank you very much. That's DSP Efiatinge. She speaks for the Accra Region Police. And as you heard her say, if you have some more information to help the police unravel what happened, feel free to call their toll-free lines and divulge that information. Let me take you to court now. A Tamale Circuit Court presided over by His Lordship William Chumesia Pia has convicted 51-year-old Abugri Akuri Elias Stone to 12 years imprisonment for defilement. Abugri Akuri was convicted on his plea and begins his sentence at the Tamale prisons today. The 51-year-old defiled a 6-year-old girl at Diare in the Savelugu municipality. This was after the victim's grandmother had sent her to collect money from the suspect on Monday. After waiting for hours on end for the victim to return, the grandmother then decided to follow up on to find Abugri having sexual intercourse with a little girl. Now, the matter was reported to the Savelugu police for further investigations, and Abugri was picked up by the Savelugu police. Abugri was remanded by the Tamale Circuit Court to reappear today, that's the 23rd of July, 2021. He pleaded guilty when he appeared and was sentenced on his own plea. Time now for stories on COVID-19. Health authorities in the Ashanti region have expressed worry at the current stage of COVID-19 cases, especially in senior high schools. At least 4 senior high schools currently have recorded over 100 active cases between that's out of the 840 for the entire region. Now, the regional health director, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran, tells my colleague Ohimen Terry of our health desk total disregard for safety protocols in the midst of the fast-spreading Delta variant makes the situation dire.
Almost all district, municipal and metropolitan assemblies have contributed to the region's current 840 active cases with 260 cumulative deaths. An outbreak in 4 senior high schools, which has over 100 active cases between them, appears to have worsened the situation. Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran is worried about the situation.
As at now, our active cases is 840. That means that if you look at the graph, we are always getting to the third wave. So I can say that the third wave is imminent. But what is worrying is that we are having most of the outbreaks in Kumasi Metro and also in secondary schools in the region. And it's a cause for worry. So far, we've had outbreak in 4 secondary schools in Ashanti. But if the outbreak is in congregate setting, then it makes it more serious in the sense that all of them are together. And for that reason, even if one person is infected, it's likely that it may spread to the whole school. On the whole, we've had close to about over 100 cases in all the schools, the active cases. And one incident that's also worrying is the way we organize the funerals also in Ashanti. If you go around the whole region, you realize that the community has totally disregarded all the protocols and then the guidelines that we've given.
Whilst blaming public apathy, Dr. Tinkran said continued disregard for COVID-19 safety protocols, especially at funerals, can lead to what he described as super spreaders. He wants funerals to be supervised by health authorities and the police.
If you look at the guidelines that came out, the enforcement and other things, even funerals were banned. That's what we all know. But small, we saw that people are then coming out because the enforcement wasn't there. And eventually, they've opened up wide. But even if opening up, we are to observe the protocols even within the confines of the funeral, that would have been better. But they've also disregarded, apart from the fact that they've disregarded the government ban on funerals, they've also disregarded the protocols, even during the funerals. The organizers of all these events should be held accountable. In Ashanti region, for instance, we decided that any funeral should be supervised by the police and then by the health authorities.
Meanwhile, Dr. Tinkran wants all hands on deck, especially district, municipal and metropolitan assemblies, to reintroduce interventions to prevent a third wave in the region.
Right from the onset of the pandemic, the efforts that we put in as a country, the support that we had from individuals, communities, people were buying Veronica buckets, people were giving out everything freely. And we were able to contain COVID at that time. I believe that we need to sustain all these gains. We don't have to throw them away. So the authorities, the municipal, the district, the metro assemblies, they will have to come out again to support the hand hygiene protocols. The churches, the religious leaders, the traditional leaders, everybody will have to be on board. Because the fight is not over at all. If anybody is to tell you that we've finished with the COVID fight, then that person is deceiving you, because the fight is not over. And I don't think tiredness or fatigue should be part of this process. Sometimes you talk to people and they say they are tired. Are you tired in such a way that you are giving up? No, we don't have to give up.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohimenteria reporting.
Let me tell you what the figures are looking like on the dashboard as far as the cases are concerned. And so, as you see there, we have 276 cases. The active cases, 3,560. The deaths, which you should take note of, 819 have died so far. And of course, you have all the other figures, the recovered cases, the confirmed cases so far. But the new cases, 276, and the deaths, 819. Meanwhile, genome sequencing conducted by the West African Center for Cell Biology and Infectious Pathogens has revealed one's blood group is crucial when it comes to whether one will exhibit COVID-19 symptoms or not. According to the WAGBIC study, persons with blood group A are usually symptomatic, whilst those with blood group O tend to be carriers of the virus who don't show any symptoms. Dr. Peter Kwashi is a senior research fellow at WAGBIC.
There seems to be some association of symptomatic cases with blood group A and a very strong positive correlation of asymptomatic cases with blood group O. The current best practices in Ghana, given our low vaccination coverage, is that social distancing and mask wearing are the best practices so far. We have a high level of asymptomatic spread with increasing seroprevalence. We have, and then what we also saw, because variants arrived in Ghana at least a month later than they arrived in other countries which did not have antigen testing.
Let's explore this more. We are joined by Dr. Peter Kwashi. He is on Zoom. Thank you very much, Doc, for your time here on Joy News Prime. I'm sure people who are watching us right now who are with, the blood group O must say this is good news for us. Is it, or there's caution? Hello, Doc. You have to unmute your device so we can hear you.
Yes,
yes, we can hear you now. Great.
Yes, there's definitely caution. This report is still preliminary, and it doesn't mean that everybody who has blood group O will not have symptoms.
Okay.
What we've seen is that, so we set out to try to understand why in Ghana and countries like Ghana, we are not getting a lot of symptomatic cases. And there were some reports, and we know that the population has a high number of people with blood group O. Yeah. So just by looking at how many of the people who have symptomatic disease have certain blood groups and how many have with asymptomatic disease have certain blood groups, what we could see is that if you had asymptomatic disease, you were more likely to have blood group O. If you were symptomatic, you were likely to have A or some of the others. And again, this is preliminary. It doesn't mean you're completely protected. And so
yes.
It's not something that people should go out and say, I have blood group O, so and come in.
And even if you're vaccinated, you definitely should take precaution, I guess.
Yes, yes. Like what we're seeing with this current wave, where even if you're vaccinated and you get infected, you might not show any symptoms, but you'll be a vector to someone else.
But Doc, help us understand, does being asymptomatic necessarily mean that even if you get infected with COVID-19, you will not die?
Asymptomatic means you don't have infection, and usually that means that you won't die.
Great. That's very interesting. Thank you very much. That's Dr. Peter Kwashi with WACBIC there, and they have carried out a study on the relationship between your blood group and the possibility of being infected with COVID-19 and whether or not you would show symptoms. You're watching Join News Prime with me and Asmini. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll bring you business where some Ghanaians, Join News have been speaking to, seem to be in absolute support of the draft bill seeking to criminalize LGBTQI+ activities.
Just want to go over that. That's fine with them, but Africa, I think it will be very bad for somebody to engage in such a attack. Yeah.
With the new bill that will be being passed, I think it's in the right direction.
Well, the sponsors of the bill, however, believe homosexuals in Ghana should be excited that the bill at least criminalizes assault of persons suspected to be gay.
It's a bill that imposes in jail time, even jail time on persons who met out extrajudicial treatment to alleged homosexuals.
And of course, in business, shortage of maize in parts of the country fuels unhealthy competition and price gauging. There's more in business as we assess the negative toll on businesses along the food value chain. Stay with us.
You're welcome to Business. I'm Charles Ait. And now the shortage of maize supply in parts of the country is taking a negative toll on businesses along the value chain. And of course, high demand for maize has resulted in an unhealthy competition for staple. There is more in this report from Kumasi.
Kofi Mensah is a corn mill operator. He has been in business for the past 20 years. According to him, this is the year he has recorded the lowest turn-up of customers.
Okay, to Bruno de Gumana, Seni Sibana Suti, and Tisse, a Bruno Homono, a Bro Homo, a Gumanoba, more.
Previous years, Fafa, a condo seller at the Aja market, could buy 5 bags of maize at 1,000 Ghana cedis. This year, 1,000 Ghana cedis can buy only 3 bags.
At first, when you send 1,000 Ghana cedis, you get maybe 5 to 6 bags. But now, when you send 1,000 Ghana cedis, you get 2 or even 3. You see, it's very high. The prices are too high to the extent that you need to add more money. Like when at first you were sending 1,000, you send 20,000 so that you get the 5 bags that you were getting at first.
In processing the condo, Fafa explains how she is charged by other traders. This has affected her profit.
You send it to the mill, the person who makes it for like this for you will take money. The person who will carry it will take money. You buy rubber and cover it. You buy these ones too to tie them, plus the black rubbers too. When you finish selling and you don't get the actual price that you used to send to the market to buy the stars, then you run at a loss.
Elizabeth Akande recounts this year as the worst year of doing business. She alleges some traders hoard corn dough and maize. The traders then sell the commodities at unreasonably high prices.
The shortage of maize in Ghana has been attributed to several factors, and one is the little or no rainfall in 2020, and another is the influx of foreigners from Burkina Faso and Niger to the northern part of Ghana to purchase maize. If this situation continues, there's a likelihood that there will be little maize for human consumption. And mind you, poultry farmers have also started complaining that the price of poultry feed is quite high because maize is a large component of poultry feed production. From Kumasi for Joy News, Mona Lisa Frempong.
Well, meanwhile, government says it expects the current spike in prices of foodstuff and commodities on the market to fully normalize by September this year. Food prices have increased significantly over the past months, whilst some markets are experiencing acute shortages. Speaking on PM Express, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Yao Frimpong Ado, said that September projection is based on upcoming harvest season and the introduction of some emergency policy measures.
Prices have gone up. Today, for instance, I ate a certain size of kinky, and I screamed and said, "Wow, this size of kinky at 150 is too small." But it is to be expected at that time. It is our hope that once the new produce are beginning to be harvested, by end of September, October, prices will stabilize because we are going to have lots of foodstuffs on the market. And naturally, demand and supply, the presence of demand and supply will settle the price. So if you ask me about prices, yes, everybody in the ministry concedes that prices are quite high on the market. Yes.
Well, Ghana is ranked 40th in the world in terms of exports of sweet potatoes. The nation earned $434,000 from the exports of the foodstuff in the year 2019 alone. The country could earn more if sweet potato is processed into other products. My colleague Emma Davis visits Uncle Tico's bakery, which uses sweet potato as its main ingredient.
Is a farmer who decided in 2017 to venture into value addition of sweet potatoes, but describes the sector as difficult. However, he's hopeful of the industry's potential when Ghanaians fully appreciate the nutritional benefits of sweet potato.
We're still in the difficult part. We see a very big light at the end of the tunnel, and so we are encouraged to do that.
Ghana imports about $100 million of flour annually. Ernest believes when bakers are well educated on the benefits of sweet potato, they will fuse it with their recipes and it will benefit the economy in the long run.
We have to look for money and educate the bakers so that they can buy into the use of OFSP to replace the ordinary flour.
Sweet potato is fortified with vitamin A for good eyesight and has fiber in it, hence it prevents constipation.
And the full interview will be aired tomorrow at Joy News at 6 p.m. Do make a date for that. In the meantime, that's how we end business. Sports is up next. To stay.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Sports on Joy News Prime with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. Let's start with some Olympic stories where triple jumper Nadia Eke was a flag bearer for Ghana at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. The young athlete with a personal best outdoor, that is 14.33 meters, indoor 13.60 meters, in her event was educated at the Holy Child Senior High, and Columbia University was excited ahead of her first major competition. And now let's continue to do stories that has to do with Olympics. And President of the National Paralympic Committee, SAMSON DEEN, has called on government to support their quest for this year's games because they will be in Tokyo to market the brand Ghana. According to him, it is important the government has a responsibility of projecting the image of the country and supporting them through sports is one area they can market the brand Ghana.
Ghana is going to Tokyo to market the brand Ghana. Even if it is one athlete, we are also there. We should encourage to educate corporate Ghana to come to the aid of Paralympic sports. Give us the sponsorship. The government too should release funds in time, because I don't know if they have already informed you. As we speak, we are yet to receive a penny to participate at the games. We know the effort the minister and his team are doing to make sure funds are released. But please, the money doesn't come from the coffers of the ministry, but rather the Ministry of Finance must release the funds. Releasing it, and you're just typing the document. You're releasing. But say, yes, can we have a talk accounts no ministry or and might take it 2 weeks. So be a paper be na be. Omo releases can from Kugumleta no my encratasem. It is Sremo Munko na miniano Munko Pusina Moma Yenya Sikana in time. Because and none of pay Semu Musamoba and now we were having a meeting with Tokyo. Because of this last minute things that we do, because the power is not in our hands. We are only managing the Paralympic sport for you, Ghanaians, not for us. We are only doing it for and on behalf of Ghanaians. If Ghana doesn't make things work easier for us, we are going to face serious difficulty as cycling are ready to go to Egypt to go and have about 10 or 15 days training camp. We are going to have serious challenge if they don't get to go to Egypt. We need to send an advanced team led by the chef de mission to be in Tokyo to make sure that grounds arrangements are well done.
And still on Olympic story, Naomi Osaka was given the honor of lighting the Olympic cauldron at the opening ceremony of the late Tokyo 2020 Games. The 23-year-old tennis player follows in the footsteps of a long line of iconic athletes who has been given or chosen to light the Olympic cauldron at Games. 1,824 drones were used for the opening ceremony of the Tokyo Olympic Games, which was held earlier today. On this note, I say thanks very much for joining for sports on Joy News Prime. I'll be back in the second half to bring you some more sports stories. The news continues.
And it's now time for entertainment with Becky, and already the conversation has started.
Hello to you. Oh, you too. That combination.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
much
trying.
In the background.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I love it.
Prala issues are big, but you have to
know,
try.
You know.
Yeah.
And now we're coming to talk about, you know, his favorite musician, Joe Mettle.
And my favorite musician as well.
He's your favorite musician as well?
Absolutely.
Well, he's released his 6th album.
Yeah.
And he titled it The Experience. So he had an album listening last night, and we were there. We had a conversation with him, and he tells us that, you know, there's a lot to look forward to in this album. So platform. Let's talk about Party in the Park, Ghana Party in the Park, happening in the UK. It's actually happening tomorrow. And ahead of that, we've been speaking to, well, my colleague Doreen Avio has been speaking to some musicians that are built for the event.
This is probably your first time here, okay? How does it feel, I mean, considering the past few days, and how ready are you for the event?
Well, it feels like home, you know, considering it's summertime, and I see a lot of sunshine around, so I'm kind of cool with the weather and everything, and the people here are treating us so nice, and we are welcomed everywhere, so the preparation, Charlie, we have to give them an epic performance, something they've never seen before, like a sort of history, because this Ghana Party in the Park is history. Because since the lockdown, UK haven't been out, and this is the first time they're coming out. So, Charlie, we are fully packed for the show, and Charlie, everybody is cheering up towards it. So
we're still on it. The story as in, you know, we're just hopeful. You understand? I'm just looking at how the crowd will respond, and you know, the turnout. So we're just hopeful. I like that the sun is out.
Okay.
Hopefully, it stays that way the whole time.
Okay.
We can perform it, even if it's raining. Crowd will still perform.
All right.
I'm cool right now. I'm very, very happy, and I'm like getting ready for the party because right now we're excited. Yeah, so I just say it's our first time. We're here to leave and then here, so I just say so you guys should put up. Let's do something crazy. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, let me give an thanks to AKUAMOAH UK and also like Ghana Party in the Park for this big platform. As you can see, I'm a young artist in the industry, and me being in this platform means
I see a tall list of musicians there.
Yeah, Sarkodie is actually also there. He happens to be the creative director for this.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
So we're expecting...
Good to know a lot of them are young musicians given the opportunity. But it's Friday. What are you doing this weekend?
It's Friday. What I'm doing right now after the Prime is to go to the La Palme Royal Beach Hotel because the Ghana Music Awards UK Okay. It's been launched, you know, as we speak. So that's what I'll be doing after that arrest. I'll expect a call from you tomorrow.
I will call you, Becky, to join me at work tomorrow. That's it for Showbiz. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. There's controversy over a draft bill seeking to criminalize LGBTQ+ activities in the country. A section of the public is kicking against it over concerns it will close the civil space, open the floodgates for human rights abuses, and foster a sense of fear among minority groups. This is because aspects of the proposed bill are advocating a prohibition of any surgical procedure for gender reassignment or any procedure that is intended to create another sex other than the sexual orientation of the person assigned at birth. Some MPs who are proponents of the anti-LGBTQI+ bill believe activities of homosexuals threaten the stability and structure of the ethnic groups in the country, arguing any endorsement of such practice would compromise the country's cultural and moral values. The MPs also asked countries promoting the rights of LGBTQ+ persons to refrain from the use of threat or force against the independence of the state, citing the UN Charter, which recognizes the principle of sovereignty of member states. Now, Member of Parliament for Ningu Prampram, Sam George, is one of the lead legislators on this campaign.
So what this private member's bill is seeking to do is to cover the whole spectrum of being queer, of being homosexual, and addressing them adequately. And so anybody who falls foul of any of the spectrum designations of homosexuality will be infringing upon our laws, and the requisite sanctions will apply. It's a bill that imposes jail time, even jail time, on persons who met out extrajudicial treatment to alleged homosexuals. I mean, what part of the bill is harsh? I mean, except you want us to pass a bill that is celebrating the illegality, tell me what part of the bill is harsh.
Now, on the streets of Accra, the proposed bill seemed to have garnered support. We've been speaking to some of you, and here's what he told us.
You know, we are African, and wherever you are, you have to abide by the culture of the people. And as African, we don't believe in what? In a foreign culture. If the foreigners want to go by that, that's fine with them. But Africa, I think it will be very bad for somebody to engage in such a attack. Yeah, it's very, very bad. No, at all. They are representing us in the hall, in Parliament. So what the mass agree on, that's what they should go by it. They cannot take their own personal decision at Parliament. They are representing us there. So what the masses are saying, I think that's the right thing we should do. Personally, I don't support it.
With the new bill that will be being passed, I think it's in the right direction. Because looking at the purpose for this bill, it will ensure that such practice is condoned, and not only that, offenders are also punished for that act. But there's one thing that I would like us to all put our minds on, which is such practice is something which already happens in the family settings. For example, there are certain families who are shielding their children from this kind of practice. They know very well that their children are into such acts at that tender age. But in terms of education and the form of punishment to give to their children, is something they themselves are not aware of, because they themselves don't even understand that such practice, one, to me personally, it is an evil act. Unreservedly, it is an evil act. I stress in capital letters. So with the new law which is being, when it is passed, and I pray that it is passed as early as possible, so that its implementation is also one thing that we need to look at it.
Oh, I believe it's something that I really support it, because this gay and lesbianism issue, it's really bringing problem in Ghana, because they always think due to human rights, they are using this advantage to just take things for granted and stuff, because they don't know better than God. God created man and he gave woman to earth us, and they should have fun due to how and what they want to do. So you can't tell God you know better than God, because you have to take your mere female or male to just have fun with. I don't support that. So I believe what the bill is bringing on board, and I really support it 100% for that.
Personally, I think those in LGBTQ also have rights, and then for the bill to be passed, it means that their rights are going to be infringed because they have the right. I mean, they should also be allowed to live their lives. So personally, since it hasn't been passed, I don't think passing the bill would actually give them that freedom or the right to live.
So those are some of your views there, but the conversation has just started. Let's explore this further. We're joined by the Member of Parliament for Kpando, DELLA SOWAH, who is one of the legislators sponsoring this bill. Jennifer AKUAMOAH is also a feminist and joins us on the phone. Let me start with you, Honorable DELLA SOWAH. For those who are against this bill, they say that it is actually, it is an affront to our democracy because advocacy is at the heart of the democracy that we practice. For you as members of parliament, what you do mainly is advocacy. So why are you seeking to criminalize? Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. We apologize for the long break. We encountered a technical challenge, but thankfully that has been resolved now. And we continue with the stories on LGBTQ and the controversy it's generated. We've heard from some of you from the streets of Accra, majority of you supporting the draft bill, which will soon be presented to Parliament. We've heard from Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, Sam George, who says that it is going through gazetting. He has been speaking to what he believes are misconceptions about the draft bill. Very soon, we'll be hearing from the Member of Parliament for Kpando, DELLA SOWAH, who is one of the legislators sponsoring the bill. But we're joined on the phone by Jennifer AKUAMOAH, who is a feminist who has issues with the draft bill. Jennifer, thank you for joining us here on Joy News Prime. What are the issues you have with the bill? Specifics?
I have a lot of issues with the bill.
Yes.
I think my first and major issue, because I'm a mental health advocate as well as a feminist, is the part where it says they want to prescribe propaganda of advocacy for or promotion of LGBTQI and related activities. Now, you're creating a bill which will proscribe and, in essence, criminalize advocacy for people who are gay or lesbian or whatever, as well as people who advocate for this group. So, and looking at it from a mental health angle, we have at least 650,000 Ghanaians who suffer from mental health disorders. Now, of course, it's not going to be broken up into who is straight and who is gay, but of course, we will have a pretty large contingent of members of the gay community who are there because they, of course, suffer their own unique set of issues that they need help with. And if you're going to proscribe advocacy and treatment for these people and make it punishable by a jail term, you are putting these people at risk. You are, in essence, condemning them to a life of sadness, depression, and in possibly tragic cases, suicide and death. And I cannot fathom that the people who are in office and who are supposed to speak for us are rather finding ways to endanger us. I don't understand it, among other things. I mean, I don't like the bill at all, but that for me was the kicker. That was the part that disturbed me the most.
I appreciate are not working in a vacuum. They represent people, and they'll tell you that majority of the people they represent actually supports this bill. We went onto the streets of Accra, just randomly spoke to people, and you could tell there's some support, almost overwhelming. Isn't this a popular bill, would you not say? And wouldn't it be representative of what the people want? We accuse MPs of not representing the views of their constituents. They are doing just that now.
Okay, so I think one thing we have to realize is that we do live in a homophobic society. And by homophobic, I mean it's not gay-friendly or queer people-friendly. So if you're going to go on the streets and ask people, what do you think of this bill? And if you are gay and you say, oh, I don't support it for such and such reason, that person, even before this bill, knows that he or she is endangering their lives. They're at risk of being lynched. I mean, look at the whole 21. Yeah, just recently we had 21 people who journalists thought were gay reading their material and then had these people arrested on the basis of an assumption. and you're doing a vox pop on the streets and you really think gay people are going to say, oh, no, this is a bad bill, of course they're going to say, yes, it's a great bill. Now, I'm not saying all the people you spoke to were gay, but we know we're in a homophobic society. And, I mean, I did watch that bit, and you had, I think, only one lady at the end who was like, no, they are people. And if you do this, you're going to, you know, curtail their rights to live their lives. But every other person you spoke to said, no, it's a bad thing. Another thing, of course, the MPs are going to say that this represents the majority of their people, because in which constituency are you doing a census of gay and straight people? Because, like I said, gay people know that they're at risk of being lynched or losing their jobs if they come out and say that this is their sexual orientation. So I think when we are talking about this, we have to remember the context and the society that we live in. We are not a gay-friendly society. So, of course, there are some points which are going to come up and we're going to make it look as if everybody hates the bill. But in truth, there are people who are saying they hate it because they have to protect themselves from the wrath of the society and the people that they live with.
You talk about assumptions, and also linked to that for many of you who are against this bill is the fact that you believe this could open the floodgates for more abuse against persons who are perceived LGBTQ or are promoting it. But there are some portions of the bill that seeks to cure that or address these issues that you raise. And let me read a bit of that to you. It comes under the heading Protection and Support for Victims, Accused and Other Persons. 1, protection for victims of prohibited sexual activities, access to medical help or treatment by accused, flexible sentencing, prohibition of extrajudicial treatment, which is a key issue for many of you promoting LGBTQI. And then finally, assistance for questioning and intersex persons. Shouldn't this suffice and deal with the apprehension you have over the abuse that you perceive?
You know something? I am old enough to remember what happened in Nigeria with SARS and the protests against SARS. And I was curious as to why it was in essence a unit which was designed to help reduce, in quotes, sakawa or internet scams and fraud, turned into something that the populace was so hugely against. So I went to read on SARS as well. And I realized that the writing about it, the legislature surrounding it, the idea and the intention surrounding it was really good. I mean, it was really good. They had a good idea. But what happened? It became a tool of oppression. Instead of it being something that could prevent internet scam, it became something that those agents, those security forces, could commit crimes against people they thought were internet scammers.
And so you think that these clauses...
Ernest, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Ernest, I'm coming.
Yeah.
So if you were a young person in Nigeria and you looked a certain way or you dressed a certain way and they thought you were a scammer, then they used that to bully you, to intimidate you, to assault you, and in some cases to kill you. Look, Ghana and Nigeria, our histories are not that far apart. And I honestly cannot say with full confidence that if we pass this bill as it is, everything written there is going to take place as they say. I have seen good laws abused by people in power. I do not think this is the way to go.
Jennifer, hold the line for me. We have the Member of Parliament for Kpando also join us on phone. Madam, we're grateful you could join us. And the issue for many of those against this is the fact that the bill, in essence, seeks to criminalize advocacy, which is at the heart of the very democracy that you are practicing. For you members of Parliament, that is what you do. You advocate. Whether or not the advocacy succeeds is another thing altogether. So why seek to criminalize advocacy?
To your listeners, yes, on the issue of advocacy, I was saying before I went off the line that very recently someone was sharing with me plans to advocate for some Fulani headsmen. And what for? We were discussing the issue of the video that came up that some were having sexual intercourse with cows. Now that person says that it should be acceptable. We should advocate for them because they walk long distances without women to meet their sexual needs. Should we as a country, under the guise of democracy, that's my question, allow advocacy for anything? should we not be in control of what we allow advocacy for? And does allowing advocacy for things that are foreign to us make us targets? Does it say that because we are MPs, we shouldn't advocate for things that maybe somebody who is exposed to foreign culture, as your guest, even the sound of her voice tells me that she's very exposed to foreign culture. Are we saying that we representing the majority of Ghanaians, the high percentage of who are not exposed to foreign culture, we should allow anybody should advocate for anything, even if it's against our culture and our values? I don't think so. I think we need to protect the Ghanaian. We need to protect our culture. We need to protect our values. We need to protect what makes us Ghanaian. Homosexuality doesn't make us Ghanaian. It's not part of our culture. You know, and when I hear people saying that it should be allowed, there's a big question in my mind. Why do we accept everything that is foreign at our own expense? It's sad. It's very, very sad. And mind you,
to those who
this
say,
bill
yes,
is not against the lifestyle choice. By way of, it has some protection. Let me put it that way, rather. It has some protection for people who choose that lifestyle. Somebody will not just pick you in the street and lynch you. No, you are entitled to hearing at a court of law. And it's only the court of law that can say, yes, you are guilty or not. There are protections for them within it. So,
Madam SOWAH, what do you say?
We are seeking to protect
very well.
Our values and our culture as Ghanaians. That is what we are seeking to protect.
That is clearly understood, but there are those who say that as members of parliament, you should have interest in minority groups and represent them in the chamber. What you're seeking now is to suppress their views and make sure that they are not heard, which is undemocratic in their view.
No, we are protecting our values and our culture. That's it. I mean, if you go to a country like America, what is their view against polygamy? What is their view? If somebody is caught practicing polygamy, what do? It's not part of their culture. It's not part of the American values. They will not allow it. You'll be taken to court. You'll be tried, probably sentenced. So there are different countries with their different cultures and values and stuff. Leave the Ghanaian values and cultures to us. Just as we are not interfering with the American values and culture. Let's also practice our own values and culture. I mean, and this is a bill that consultation was widely done. Christians, Muslims, whatever groups, our traditional authorities, we spoke to all of them, many of them. So this is not a bill that's crafted out of the blue. We are not representing people. No. The voice of the minority is why we are saying, look, don't just lynch anybody because you suspect that person has gone against the law. No. We are saying they are entitled to this, they are entitled to this. You just read the portion of it. So it's not a bill that is muting the minority. No, we are protecting their rights, their human rights. So we are saying their lifestyle choice. It's not a part of our culture.
You talk about consulting widely before putting together this draft bill. We know that it will go through the process in Parliament. Proposals will be called for and scrutinized. And I'm asking you as an individual legislator, are you willing to accept any amendment that will seek to reduce what some lawyers have described as far-reaching, some of the punitive measures, for instance, the jail term, the penalty unit, to have all those things amended or totally removed? Are you open to that?
Well, when we get there, we'll cross that bridge. But I think, I don't know, if you look at other countries, they pass their laws based on what their culture and values are. And that's exactly what we are doing. We are representing the culture and values of the Ghanaian. And that's what we are doing.
And finally, as we wrap up on this, Honorable DELLA SOWAH, you heard Jennifer say that, I mean, this bill does not, you are talking about cultural values, but for Jennifer and those who are against this bill, they say we should be looking forward. And this bill is not forward-looking. It takes us back on the strides we have made as far as upholding human rights is concerned. How do you respond to that?
It's funny. It's funny. It's the same way I told my friends that having intercourse with a cow is not forward-looking. It's funny. I mean, I think for once, we should look at it as let Ghana lead the forward march in this direction. Everything doesn't have to be right because it's from a foreign country. No. I believe that the forward march is actually to say, no, we won't agree to this one. We won't poison ourselves because we are hungry. No, that's the forward looking. That's, I think, the issue that we have to raise. What makes us the Ghanaian? What are our human rights? Let's protect us ourselves. We've given away everything. Even now, if you come to my constituency where I am now, many children are speaking English. They can't even speak the local dialect. Where are we going as a country?
I'd like to thank you.
We are changing everything. That is us. And we are happy with it? No.
Madam, I'd like to thank you very much for your time. Of course, this has just started. We understand it's going through gazetting. It will be laid properly, and the conversation will still continue. That's the Member of Parliament for Kpando, DELLA SOWAH, who is one of the legislators sponsoring this bill. Earlier, you had Feminist, Jennifer AKUAMOAH, who is one of those against this bill and pushing for it to be scrapped totally. You're here on Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Min. Let me take you now to Parliament. The Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, is backing a proposition by Speaker Alban Badmin for the country's trade laws to be reviewed to exempt Nigerian retailers from the $1 million minimum capital requirement. Mr. Badmin, on a visit to Nigeria, said the GIPC Act 865, which sets the minimum capital requirement, will be reviewed to facilitate trade between the two countries. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders, GUTA, has kicked against the move. But speaking ahead of a meeting of the ECOWAS Parliament in Accra, Mr. Markin said the proposal is a good idea.
One market requires that we create also the balances to have certain level playing field. So if there are some incentives in one area and another area has no such incentives, it creates critical. I can say so, and then see how we can create a level playing field. But don't forget that Nigeria took a decision on importation of rice because they also identified a loophole that Benin had a relaxed system that allows rice to get into their market and other commodities, and they were spending so much in the agriculture sector to help grow the local rice economy. They noticed that, yes, there is a free market for all, somebody can trade here and there. However, because people were taking advantage of the low tariffs, they would bring it to the Nigerian market, and the economy was collapsing in the area of rice production. What did they do? They took remedial step, and it's worked for them. So we may have to specifically look at how we are affected. And if there is any trading, any imbalance in terms of resource availability, in terms of the laws, we can specifically deal with it. And this issue of Ghana-Nigeria matter, ends once and for all. They are big brothers. We've worked together. This whole ECOWAS thing, it was really championed initially by Ghana and Nigeria. We played critical role. Ghana contributes a lot to ECOWAS. Nigeria does a lot. So I believe that we can do better than we've done so far. And Parliament would not shirk its responsibility in coming with laws that would guide the heads of state or heads of authorities in various sub-regional countries to deal with this.
The Majority Leader, Chair Mensah-Bonsu, has confirmed Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will be in Parliament next week Thursday to present a mid-year budget review. He is urging all MPs to participate in the event.
On Thursday, the 29th of July 2021, the Honourable Minister for Finance is scheduled to move a motion for the adoption of the mid-year review of the budget statement and economic policy for the 2021 financial year, and also the supplementary estimate for the 2021 financial year. Speaker, all honourable members are entreated to avail themselves plenary for this crucial business.
You know, he says a motion for a parliamentary investigation into the killing during the 2020 election may also be moved next week.
Speaker, leadership is in discussions with the proponents of the motion requesting the House to investigate the interferences by some members of state security agencies in the presidential and parliamentary elections of Ghana. Upon conclusion of the discussions, the said motion will be programmed for debate in the House. Speaker, possibly in the course of the week. Failing that, we may have to take it in the ensuing week. What it means is that before the House adjourns in the day, it will come up for discussion.
And you heard there the Majority Leader of Seche Mensah. So you're watching Joy News Prime with me and Esmin. We're taking a break. When we return, Charles has more business news for you. Stay with us.
It's now time for business. We're taking you next to the Volta region, which has abundant resources beside its rich cultural heritage. Now, the region has been described as the tourism hub of Ghana ahead of the Volta Fair beginning November 15. Joy News' MFR Powell takes us on the trip to the Volta region and highlights the opportunities in agribusiness, tourism, and ICT. Here's more.
I love the Volta region. I am passionate about everything Volta, not because I come from there, but because of its rich culture. The Volta region has been described as a tourism hub of Ghana, with a variety of tourist attractions to boast of. From the food to tourist destinations, the region is ripe for investment in agribusiness, ecotourism, and ICT.
We are currently at the Maflix Trust Farm here in Juje, Tajahu, we are told. Well, behind me you can see the greenhouses. I've counted them, it's 7 by 3 of them. It's just one of the farms that we're visiting as part of our Volta Fair. You can see, you've told you that our Volta Fair is made up of 3 main themes. It will be on agribusiness, tourism, and then, of course, IT. A very wonderful place, beautiful irrigation, a number of crops. We've seen the beautiful potatoes, the okra, amongst others. This is one of the main reasons why you need to be part of the Volta Fair. So you exhibit, and then you can attract investors as well for your business.
In Ghana, we have advantage to grow 3 times in a year. We compete with Egypt. Egypt do only 1 season. They're in a season now. So most of the buyers, they are focusing in Africa, especially Ghana now.
I find it interesting that you are growing Asian vegetables in Ghana and you are exporting to the UK.
Yeah.
Is it that they find it cheaper to get it from Africa because of what is the issue?
No, because of the transit time and logistics. You know, when you ship this evening, we are shipping today. Tomorrow morning is in UK. Netherlands is in Netherlands early in the morning.
So our location is an advantage
exactly
when it comes to fruits and vegetables for the value chain.
But the challenges we have by logistics too is, we don't have our national airline. It's one of the big challenges. About 3 weeks ago, we'll be having challenges with a BA. Very big issue. You go to the airport, they'll bring a small flight. I think now they are bringing a bigger flight, but the freight cost is so high. So those are the only challenges. But in terms of position in Africa, West Africa, we have a good chance. So most of the buyers want to buy produce from Ghana.
The agribusiness sector is one of the 23 sectors under the AGI. We have 23 sectors from agribusiness to garment. And as I also mentioned earlier, we work closely with government. And what we do, we are the leading voice of the private sector and continue to advocate. So as part of the advocacy, we know that for investors, or for us to be able to attract foreign direct investment, the enabling environment must be created. Government must create the enabling environment for us to be able to pitch and to be able to sell Ghana. That means the ease of business, doing business must be improved. That means there must be available land, there must be industrial parks, there must be affordable power, and there must be cost of credit. So we continue to advocate for that, for government to be able to do that, so that we can attract foreign direct investment and with partnership with our locals, technology transfer, and to improve on our economic situation.
The Volta region is a microcosm of Ghana. It is an embodiment of Ghana. Everything you want to see in Ghana is right in here. So once you come in here, once you visit Volta, you have experienced Ghana. Go home and sleep.
This year, November, we'll be having the Volta Trade, Cultural and Investment Fair. And I want to welcome everybody, wherever you are, whether in this country, whether you are from Volta region, or everybody all over the world is invited to come and join us from 15th to 28th of November. So I welcome you all.
My next visit will take me to the
Well, the Growth Hub have launched a partnership to align culture and strategy in a corporate environment to enable an organization achieve their goals. Here's lead consultant at the Growth Hub Ghana, Lovelace Ajeaku.
Very important and critical to us as a wholly owned Ghanaian company into consultancy and working with people. Now, the opportunity to get anybody to understand people means that the key resource in any organization is being honest and being used right. So for us, we are very passionate about aligning the cultures of every organization to the strategy. You will find that the impact of COVID has changed the way a lot of companies are working now. Some were ready because they were very agile and flexible in the way they deal with their people and their culture. Others found it very, very difficult because even their employees did not even have laptops or even didn't have any technological background to communicate. So maybe for a whole 3 or 4 months, there was no communication. That's sad. So for us, we realized that why not bring Ofstedy Insights into Ghana? After 30 years of doing this with a lot of companies, as you saw, over 500 companies worldwide, we are giving the opportunity for them to serve the Ghanaian corporate market by going to corporate Ghana to allow them to have us scan their culture and help them to decide on how they can use their people, which is the best resource for any competitive advantage in this corporate Ghana. So for us, yes, it's very important. We should listen to the issue of culture. It can be measured scientifically, and we think the impact is great. So typically, in corporate Ghana, I have been in sales and senior sales management roles, working with people nationwide, meaning that people are coming from different cultures, and you're expecting them to perform and deliver the same goals. Now, some are very fortunate to be forthgoing and engaging people. Others are also laid back by the way of their tradition. So even to approach an elder and push forth their case becomes very difficult.
And that's how we end this edition of Business, but I'll leave you with a summary of international business news.
Welcome to the second part of Sports on Joy News Prime with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. It is destiny-defining weekend in the various divisions of Division 1 League in the country, starting from Zone 1 all the way to Zone 3. But Zone 2 is already decided. If you take a look at the fixtures for March Day 30 in the various zones, you realize that Young Apostle, they will come up against Kintampo FC. There's Tamale City versus Techiman City. Brekum Arsenal versus Bofuakwa, and there's also Mighty Royals versus BA United. Nkranza Warriors will also come up against Insua Treman. There's Wasinta versus Steadfast United, Park Crocodile versus Yendigbewa, and RTU versus Unity FC. In Zone 2 is KFC versus All Blacks FC, Star Madrid versus Achikin FC, Proud United versus Pacific Heroes. Gold Stars, who are champions of Zone 2, they will play Wasserman. It is a coronation match. There's also Asokwa Deportivo versus Second D Hazaket. There's Bekwai Youth Football Academy versus Samatex. And Inzima Kotoko will come up against New DBS United. Unit Stars will come up against already relegated Vipers. And in Zone 3, this is where it becomes extremely interesting because the winner for the league in Zone 3 will be decided on the final day when Tema Youth comes against Uncle T Stars. There's Mighty Jets versus Vision FC. There's Kotoku Royal versus Dambora FC. Young Wise versus Ochiman Planets FC. Crystal Palace will also play Agbozomi Weavers, and Nania FC will come up against Accra City. The other fixture was supposed to be Accra Lions versus Far Rangers, but because the Ghana Football Association have demoted Far Rangers to the Division 3 in Ghana football, that fixture will not be happening. And as it stands right now at the moment in Zone 3, it's equal points between Tema Youth FC and Accra Lions, but Tema Youth FC, just as you saw, they will have a match happening later this weekend. Let's take a look at the tables in the various zones as we build up to the final day of the various zones in Division 1 football for the 2020-2021 football season. Let's start with Zone 1, where you have the likes of RTU and Bokwaka all Ghana out to win the league title for this weekend. Whilst that of Zone 3, you have the likes of Tema Youth FC versus Accra Lions, also Ghana out for a place for who will qualify for the Premier League this weekend. And also in Zone 2, as I mentioned earlier, Bibiani Gold Stars have already won that fixture. They've already won that zone rather as winners, and they've qualified to the Ghana Premier League for the next edition. Now let's talk about something that has to do with boxing. And yesterday, the Ghana Boxing Authority assembled their delegates to choose a new leader for boxing in the country, and it was Abraham Nikwe who defeated his contender in the person of Henry Manley Spain. And he said that he would like to have Henry Manley Spain as part of his board for the new administration of boxing in the country. However, Henry Manley Spain says that he would like to take a step back for now.
The stakeholders have spoken. I do not have any choice but to accept the results. I think what I told them, what I assured them, they weren't content with it. And it is somehow not that bad for me, because actually this is a sport that I love. But I think this time around I'm going to step back for a while and see how things are going to turn out. And if there's any advice that anyone needs from me, I'll be there to advise them.
And we wrap up with some transfer news where Manchester United have announced the signing of Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund earlier today. Sancho underwent a medical at Manchester United after his participation at the Euro 2020. The England international becomes Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's second signing of the summer following the addition of goalkeeper Tom Heaton. The winger joins the Red Devils on a 5-year deal and says joining the Premier League Giants is a dream come true. It is always a dream come true for every player who joins a new club. On this note, we say thanks very much for joining us for Joy News Prime with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Ernest Menu is standing by to wrap up the news.
Muftau, thank you very much for the latest in sports, but that's our show for today. Many thanks for your company. From me and the production team, we say have a great weekend.